Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is SKTV coming to you live from Phoenix, Arizona. My name is Sekou Kene, as always. Today we are having a conversation with George Melvin Johnson. This is about a case involving one young Liberian lady and a white man from Iowa, Des Moines, Iowa. I think he will give us the actual story when you guys hear. But yes, it's very, very important. It's very, very, very important that you tune in and share the show so you can be a part of this very, very important conversation. I want to encourage each and every one of you to share the show. It's very, very important. You know, you will be amused to hear some of the things, that we are talking about here. Yes, but I want to encourage all of you to go ahead and share the show while we await God to be here. Right?
First time I saw your face, I knew I was in love. Baby, your smile takes my breath away. And they can say what I want, girl, I don't mind. As long as you are by my side. Baby, you smile of paradise. Baby, girl, come be my love life. How many times do you want me to say I love you? Cause then I tell the world I do. Even you want me, girl, I do. Baby, girl, come be my love life. Inikuma. Yega ampa ilikuwa. Anyway, you will come on. How many times do you want me to say I love you? Cause when I tell the world I do. Even you want me, girl, I do. Baby, girl, come be my love for life. How many times do you want me to say I love you? Cause when I tell the world I do. Even you want me, girl, I do. Baby, girl, come be my love for life. I need no painkiller cause you took my pain away. You don't need umbrella, I will take the rain away. Inikuma. Yega ampa ilikuwa. Anyway, you will come on. How many times do you want me to say I love you? Cause when I tell the world I do. Even you want me, girl, I do. Baby, girl, don't be my love for life. How many times do you want me to say I love you? Cause when I tell the world I do. Even you want me, girl, I do. Baby, girl, don't be my love for life.
So, folks, so once again, I want to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you. Please go ahead and share the show. Today, we are having a conversation, a very, very important conversation with George Melvin Johnson. As you may all be aware of him, George, George Johnson is a Liberian George living in the state of Georgia. There is a case that he brought to our attention. He will give the detail of the case, and there is a planned fundraiser pertaining to that case in to be held in Iowa. It's very, very important that you tune in today and share this show so we can have this conversation. On the other side of the show, probably we're going to have the judge here for an hour or an hour 30 minutes, and then we will jump into politics after that. But primarily, we're going to talk about uh, this case, and the judge is here to give us enough information and to also tell us reasons why he's here. I believe they are having a fundraiser, but he will give us more information. But again, a lot is going on when it comes to politics. We'll get there. We have a lot of information, a whole lot of information politically. But today we are going to start with George Melvin Johnson. George Johnson, I would say good morning from my end and good afternoon to you from Georgia, right? On the East Coast, you got East Coast time.
Yes, that's right. Good morning on the West Coast. Good afternoon here on the East Coast. Thank you, Siku Kenneth, Mr. Kenneth. Thank you for having me back. It's been a while seeing you. My regards to your family. I pray that all is well with you. You look good.
Thank you.
And thank you for having me on. It's a blessing to be alive. And I just praise God for another opportunity to be able to do this with you and share some very important information with our people and appeal to our people as well. Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So just to not to waste any time, because we started a little bit late, uh, you know, due to miscommunication, we kind of like you kind of misconstrue the times differently. However, I mean, we are here. It's better late than never. We are here. So why are you here today on SKTV? Why?
Well, I'm here because of the recent case that I'm sure many of us follow that involved our country. Specifically on September 14th, last month, there was a gentleman by the name of Lucas Richard. He came from the US. He had been doing missionary work in Liberia, and it was reported that he had attempted to murder one of our daughters in Liberia. And so that story is the story for which I am here. And so the incident started on September 14th. The way I got the information, and I'm sure many people, the news broke, is the victim or the alleged victim involved. Her name is Jessica. Her mother name is Cynthia. Cynthia took to social media to let the world know what had happened to her daughter. And so Cynthia reported at the time that the daughter had been attacked by Lucas Richard. She had been hit over the head, as well as there was an attempt to slit her throat. And so Cynthia had reported that information. That same day, when Mr. Richard apparently attempted to do that, there were two bystanders who watched what was going on, and praise God, they intervened. They prevented him from murdering her. And as the story went, he left. Long story made short, later on, he was taken to the police station. There at the police station, this is about the evening of September 14th, he calls his wife, who is also in Liberia. And he explains to his wife, from what we're told, he needs help, he needs prayer. He's at the police station. People have attempted to rob him and that they're trying to take money from him and so forth. When the wife received this information, believing her husband, the wife innocently not knowing what's going on, she naturally called people that she knew. She called to the US and began to report to people in the US what her husband had told her as far as what was going on, what he was experiencing. People in the US called this particular church in Iowa. This church is providing financial sponsorship for work that is being done in Liberia. I will get into it a little bit later, but this church there in Liberia, there is a school that has about 200 or so students that attend this school. There is a clinic that provides medication free to our pregnant women that are there, our brothers and sisters in Liberia. And then also they run a church locally. And so this small church in Iowa, when I say small, they have a total congregation size of about 130, 135 people. Okay. And so they got contacted by somebody in the US that the wife called. Naturally, when they get the message, they post it on their website that this guy who's serving as missionary Lucas Richards in Liberia, please pray for him. Please keep him in your prayers. He's been robbed in Liberia. He's been attacked. He's at the police station. He needs help, and so forth and so forth. Now, myself included, and many Liberians, because we had heard the story from the victim's mother, Cynthia, when we now discovered that this church posted such a thing on their website, we were all very angry, understandably. As I said, myself included, I was very angry. And so we started calling the church to inquire exactly what's going on. Why are you reporting such a false story and so forth? So again, in terms of timeline, the crime allegedly occurred on September 14th. The church posted on their website, I believe, September 15th. And so after the posting, people started calling, people started contacting the church. In fact, there are Liberians that attend this church. And so when people finally got a hold of the leadership of the church, they decided, let's set up a meeting. We don't understand why are we getting all these calls. We don't understand why all these people are angry. Let's meet, let's talk about it. And so on the 19th of September, about 4 days later, a meeting was finally set up after all the schedules were worked out. And at that meeting is when we learned, or the community learned, what the church knew. The church had only received a phone call from somebody in the US telling them Lucas had been robbed, he's in trouble, he needs help, etc. And so among other things, the church explained that when we get a call that, hey, one of the church members has been in an accident, he's in the hospital, we don't first say we need to see the police report. We don't first say we need to see the medical records before we post it on our website to tell people to pray and for that individual. We post it. This is what we do all the time. Therefore, when we received this call, and this is what we were told, we naturally went ahead and posted what we did. But if we offended anybody because we got false information and we posted information, our apologies. Maybe there's something we can do, we can work together, blah, blah, blah. And so that was the explanation of the church at that meeting on September 19th. There were a lot of Liberians who also attended the meeting. There were a lot of people at the meeting who were very upset. They became very disgruntled. Not only were they upset and became disgruntled, but they started cussing the people at the church. They started accusing them. There were all kinds of conspiracy theories. They were spewing at the people at the church. For example, they were saying, well, how do we know that y'all didn't send Lucas to Liberia to do what he did? How do we know there are not other dead bodies that he's got buried out there and he's been doing this for a while? Because Lucas had been in Liberia for a few years working as the administrator I think, the chief administrator there on ground with the school, with the church, with the clinic. And then they went on to demand that if Lucas should ever come to the US, they need guarantee from the church that the church would extradite Lucas back to Liberia. And so the church says, we don't know anything about extradition. We've already explained to you, and they didn't want to hear it. Long story short, with all the cussing and the threats and the suspicion, the conspiracy, the entire meeting fell apart. Nothing was accomplished. This is on the 19th. So the incident happened on the 14th. The church hosted on the 15th. On the 19th, this attempted meeting was held, but it failed. On the 23rd, 4 days after that, my beautiful wife, and we're at home. She gets on the phone with a sister that is in Iowa. And they start talking as sisters normally do. And this incident in Liberia, this case comes up, they're talking about it. And then the sister in Iowa says, by the way, I was at this meeting a few days ago and such and such happened. And so my wife says, oh, hold on, I need to get my husband, he needs to hear this. So my wife brings me into the conversation. I hear all about what transpired. As I said, I too had been following the story as a concerned Liberian, but I had not, until that point, I had not heard about the meeting and what happened. And so when I learned all about that, I told the sister that was on the phone, we need to do something, my wife included. I said, we need to do something, because if this church in Iowa has a school and 200 plus of our children are attending this school, and this church is sponsoring it, if this church additionally has a clinic, our pregnant sisters are going there to get much needed prenatal treatment and medication and so forth, as well as other people who are ill. If this church also has a church there and souls are being saved, we cannot allow things to end the way they did, because these people might be discouraged and pull their resources and their donations out of Liberia. Additionally, these people, from what they've explained, assuming they're telling the truth, they've done nothing wrong. If I was in their position and I get a call as they did, I would have done the same thing. We all go to church and so forth here in America. We know church members that they do DUI, they commit crimes, they do other things, and not one of us say, oh, this church sent them to drive drunk or told them to hit their wife or told them to do whatever people do sometimes. And so if they're telling the truth, then we need to reconcile with them and so forth. And so that began this effort. And very, very long story short, the sister who was on the phone, I asked her, who were the people who were in the meeting that were like-minded people? And so she gave me some names, some numbers, and from Atlanta, Georgia, my wife and myself, we started calling, talking to people, trying to convince them that we needed to bring this church back to the table. We needed to bring these people back to the table. Yes, a horrible thing has happened, but we don't need to compound something horrible that has happened. We don't need to make it worse. There are 200 plus children in Liberia that go to school. They depend on that school. There are, I don't know how many people that depend on the clinic, the church, and so forth. And it's just not right to leave things as they are when these people have been doing what they've been doing. So very, very long story short, eventually we get another meeting with the church. This time I'm a part of the meeting telephonically, and I expressed to them, how we got to that point, et cetera, et cetera. And they were very humbled. They were very compassionate. They were very humble. They appreciated the fact that we came back to them and we didn't allow the situation to rest as it had been. It was even expressed at that meeting that there were considerations, just as we were thinking, that they would likely look to maybe pull out of Liberia. And so, very long story short, at that meeting, it was discussed that we should have some kind of joint service to show unity between this church and our people in Iowa, to also raise fund because the victim, Jessica, she got injured. She got hit over the head. She's got a lot of medical expenses. Her family's going through stuff. And so we could have a program to show unity, to show solidarity, to show reconciliation, as well as to raise money for the victim here involved. And so there were a lot of meetings and a lot of phone calls with a lot of people, but very, very, very long story short, this Sunday forthcoming, October 22nd, there in Iowa from 5 p.m. Central Time till 7 p.m. Central Time, both sides and as well as other friends of Liberia, we've agreed we're going to have what we're calling a unity service and fundraiser. And hopefully, God willing, we will raise money to help Jessica, to help the family and anybody who's been victimized in all of this. So long story short, in summary form, that is the reason why I'm here, to bring awareness. I know many others had heard about the story, but to bring awareness, number one, as to the developments subsequent to the incident that has been going on as I've described, but then also to appeal to our people far and wide. Please donate to this cause. On the flyer that you showed, the church involved, on their website, they've set up a tab that will take donations. That's the only place that the donations are going. I will be leaving Georgia tomorrow to head out to Iowa. I will be there, God willing, traveling mercies and so forth on the weekend to make sure this program goes as planned and to make sure there is accountability. The monies will be collected again through the church platform that they have. I and some other people and some friends of the community, pastors, community leaders there, we will all be there to verify what is collected and then to make sure the money gets transmitted to Jessica's family and so forth. So in a long story made short, that's my purpose for being here today, Brother Kenneth. Thank you again for having me.
Thank you so much, George Melvin Johnson. I know you, and I know many Liberians on here may know you, but because it's been a while, some of my audience, the fans here, some of them may not know who is George Melvin Johnson. We know you, we know exactly who you are, and a lot has happened in the past. And you have been on SKTV now one time, now two times, so many times. And that was back then, 2017, 2018, 2019. But now,
2022, 2020,
yeah,
with the trafficking something case.
Yeah, with those adoption case, right?
Adoption case, yes.
Yeah, so yes, if you don't mind, can you just briefly tell our audience who you are? Because I have a question to ask you, but when they know your background, to know who is speaking, that will help them understand exactly where we are.
Yes, by the very, very special grace of God, my name is Melvin Johnson. I was born and raised in Liberia. I was born in Bummy Hills. And then I was moved thereafter in my developing years to a city called Lakbasi, the great city of Lakbasi. And so that's where I spent my formative years. I grew up. I attended elementary school there in the Lakbasi area. Thereafter, I matriculated to demonstration off of Clay Street, Ken Johnson Road there. And so the great Miss Rebecca Wilson was principal, one of our great educators. And so I am one of her children. I am one of her product. And thereafter, I was blessed to leave the public school, the government school system, and I matriculated in Virginia, in Liberia, at Rick's Institute. And so I went on boarding school, and I spent a few years there before I left, and I was brought to the U.S. as a teenager. Coming to the U.S., I've spent the majority of my time in the Atlanta, Georgia area. The weather is almost like Liberia, other than Florida. You can grow, as my family, my wife and myself do, you can grow potato greens and what we got in the garden, okra and flower sauce and bitter ball and kitale and all that stuff. So anyways, Atlanta has been home for me. I did all my schooling here. I actually finished high school here, and I went all the way on to a doctorate degree in law at the Georgia State University here downtown. And thereafter, I started practicing in law and doing different things. I am married. The Lord has blessed me with 6 seeds that have come out of me, 3 boys and 3 girls. Right down the middle. I split it down the middle. I wanted a tiebreaker. My wife says, no more tiebreaker. That's it. America is too expensive with the children. And so my lovely wife blesses me every day with the children. As I said, we live in the Atlanta, Georgia area. And anybody who knows me, they will tell you I have a phrase that, yes, I'm a believer and follower of Jesus Christ. That is first and foremost. Secondly, I bleed Liberia. I bleed Liberia. And so anything that has to do with the cause of our people, if the Lord will and the Lord allows me, I am a part of it. And you have heard over the years some of the things that the Lord has allowed me to get involved in. This is just another one of them. And so in a nutshell, that's who I am. I'm very blessed. I come from very, very humble beginnings. As I mentioned, I was a product of the government school system until I got to middle school. And not only a product of the government school system, of course, if you're Liberian, you've lived there, you've gone to government school, you understand what I mean. But then there's another level to the government school system that I also was a part of. So you have regular government school system where you go in the mornings, then you have afternoon government school system. So I went to demonstration in the afternoon. In the mornings, I had to hustle. As we say in Liberia, my family wasn't poor. My grandmother, I would help her. We would sell cold water in the market. I had a willow market in front of the house that I would sell chiclet and candy and cigarettes and all kind of different stuff. And so those were my things that I did in the morning before going to school. Fortunately, the situation changed for my family that I was able to be sponsored to go to a good school, a better school. Demonstration is and was a good school, but I went to a better school. I went to Rick's Institute. And then after that, I came to the US. So in a nutshell, that's who I am. I'm very grateful to Almighty God for life. God has been very good to me. As I said, he's blessed me with 6 children in America. And yeah, I'm just blessed. That's who I am, brother. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We really appreciate that. So going back to the story, I know the purpose of you coming on here today is to make the Liberian people or anybody to understand what really transpired and also to raise funds, also to create some awareness about the fundraiser program that is planned to be taking place in Iowa, correct?
That's correct. This Sunday coming, October 22nd.
Yeah. So my question to you now, where is the victim? What's her name again?
The victim, her name is Jessica.
Jessica. So where is Jessica currently?
From what I'm told, in talking with Jessica's mom, who her name is Cynthia, talking with her father, his name is Andrew. Cynthia and Andrew have only 2 children, and they have twins, Jessica and her brother Jesse. Both of them are 21 years old. And so since the incident, September 14th, because Jessica received very serious injuries, she's been in the hospital up until this day, is the last time I talked to them. Specifically, it was reported that Lucas hit her over the head, either with a brick or a wood or something, before he attempted to slit her throat. and he hitting her over the head. The mother shared with me that the doctors had shared with her after their CT and different scans that they did in Liberia, that Jessica has much blood on her brain that is still very visible, much blood clotting on her brain. And Jessica, I was told, that is not able to hold down solid food. She eats and it comes right out. Her motor skills have been compromised. Her speech is slurred. She still has not gotten back to normal functionality. And so she's in the hospital right now. The mother had been by her side because of the publicity, the high profile nature of the case. The mother stayed by her side and had been there. To give the listening audience an idea of the socioeconomic status of this family, Mr. Andrew Lloyd and Miss Cynthia Lloyd. Miss Cynthia Lloyd, she sells down Waterside at the market. Mr. Andrew Lloyd, he works security job, whatever he can find from time to time in Liberia to support and bring and support the family. And so economically, this is the level of economics we're talking about with these people. And so you can imagine at that level in Liberia today, if you've got a daughter that's 21 that's not able to eat the normal food that you're already struggling to put on the table, Jessica only has to drink juices and soft foods and things of that nature. You can imagine a family that presumably was already burdened. It's even more burden if they have to go find juices and different things like that to provide sustenance for this young woman. And so that's Jessica's status.
Thank you. Steve, welcome. So, okay, what about the guy who they accused, who was allegedly arrested? So where is he right now?
The latest information I've received is somewhat conflicting. So after the incident on September 14th, per the media sources in Liberia, he was arrested. He was taken to the central jail there, and the case had begun. Thereafter, as early as today's Thursday, as early as Tuesday, I think the news source, I'm not going to call their name, but one of the news sources in Liberia, they published that he had been released on bail. Somebody sent me that story. But then yesterday, when I talked to some sources that I have, and those sources said they talked to some other sources, they said, no, they don't believe it to be true because somebody else confirmed to them that he's still in jail. And so the short answer, my brother, I don't know for sure. Unfortunately, the leadership, the country we have in 2023, we don't have a way objectively to be sure whether somebody's in our jail system or not. Additionally, there's no open line or the Justice Department that you could call. And so we're all just left to the beckoning of whatever the news says and whatever this person. So I don't really know whether he's still in jail, whether he's out on bail. At this point, I can't really confirm, my brother.
So that means the fundraiser here is intended purposely to help Jessica and her family that are struggling because of the injury of her daughter from an attempted murder, and to also continue to mend fences with the church that this guy allegedly came from. So the church will not leave Liberia or stop doing whatever they are doing in Liberia because of this incident and people in the way people reacted to it, correct?
Well, partially correct. I'm glad you brought that point up. So this church started in 1914. 1914. So if my math is right, that'll place them at 109 years old. Okay. These people have been running this institution for 109 years. This church not only has missions in Liberia, but they have missions in Haiti. They have missions in Uganda. They have missions in other parts of Africa and Asia. They've had missions in over 50 countries. over the years. Okay. Lucas is not a member of this church.
Okay.
Lucas has never been a member of this church. Let me repeat that because there's been a lot of confusion about that.
Mhm.
Lucas, the perpetrator, is not a member of this church, nor has he ever been a member of this church. What I've learned through this process is that in 2023, the way missionary work is done is not how it was done when I was growing up. When I was growing up, when missionaries came to Liberia, I'm also a product, a beneficiary of missionaries' work. When they came to Liberia, they came from the church that sent them. In 2023, there is a form of missionary work that I'm terming, I don't know what they call it, but I'm calling a freelance missionary. And so for me, I word it that way so we can understand what it is. Just like you would have a freelance reporter that isn't necessarily an employee of CNN or whoever, but that person from time to time works with them under a contractual basis. So you have freelance missionaries that they do missionary work. Essentially, they prepare their CV, they distribute it to churches around the world, literally. They indicate what work they want to do, where they want to do it, and the church looks at their budget. If they have a budget available for missionary work, after verifying this person is capable of doing the work, they sponsor the work. And so this church has done that in 50 countries. Additionally, I am told that Lucas, the alleged perpetrator, he's received sponsorship not just from this church, but a total of 7 churches. Okay. And so that's the connection that he has with the church. He's not a member there. He's never been a member. And they believe in spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ. And they're doing that in Liberia. Also, I should add this. In Liberia, to run the school they have, to run the clinic, to run the church, they employ 29 people. They employ 29 people in Liberia on payroll. And of course, Lucas and his wife were 2 of those 29 people on the payroll. And so, other than Lucas, there are 27 employees, teachers, medical staff, and things of that nature on ground. I don't know if you can hear me, brother. I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, I was muted for a second. You're
Now
so
I can.
yes. I was saying since Steve is here, Steve, welcome, and maybe you have a question for George Melvin.
Yes, George Melvin, welcome to the show. I will ask 2 brief questions here. First of all, thanks for taking this on. It's impressive how you are a judge, but then you are also uh, a man of God. That's very impressive. But let me ask you this general question before I get to the case why you're here. What do you say to some Liberians, because I believe you love Liberia, who say you're let them live with God as a judge and as a man of God? What do you say? How do you reconcile the God of forgiveness plus the same God that requires justice? How do you reconcile that to Liberians?
So when you say that they would say, let's leave it with God, you mean they are meaning let's not pursue justice?
Exactly, in that context.
It's very sad. I would say that those are people who have not read the Bible. Those are people perhaps have been told about the Bible, but they have certainly not read it. They certainly not read it from cover to cover, because there is no way that you would read the Bible from cover to cover, the Bible that reveals who God is and reveals the attributes of God, and think for a second that God is not a God of justice. The Bible says over and over and over that as much as God is kind and compassionate, that's how he is when it comes to justice as well. So I would say anybody that says that and mean what we've just said is somebody that is misinformed, that needs to go back and read the Bible, because obviously that person is misinformed and consequently misrepresenting who God is and what he stands for.
Well, thank you for putting this into context, because I think this is important to hear, not only from a man of God, but from also a George or someone who has that credential about the law and understanding this. And I'm not trying to take us back, but how, in fact, did you even get involved with this whole case? How did you come into it? What is the process? Who contacted?
Sure, I kind of touched on it earlier. So very long story short, on the 19th, so the incident happened on the 14th.
Mm-hmm.
On the 15th, the church in Iowa that I described earlier, they were misinformed about what took place. And so they posted on their website favorably for Lucas, because Lucas has lied to his wife, and that lie was eventually shared with the church. That posting on the website angered a lot of people. That led to a meeting that was held at the church on the 19th. So the 14th, the incident happened. The 15th, the church posts on their website. 4 days later, the 19th, finally all the schedules worked out and there was a meeting at the church. That meeting fell apart. It became chaotic because there were many Liberians who were disgruntled, who were angry, and they cussed out the church leadership. They cussed out the Liberian leadership. They cussed out the Liberian pastors, because after the church explained how the church got to know the information, the Liberian pastor says, well, we understand. We would have done the same thing. The Liberian Association leadership that was present, they also said, we understand. But these disgruntled Liberians, they started accusing the pastor and the leadership of being in cahoots with the church. They started accusing them of being paid off by the church. That's why they were saying what they were saying. These people then went on to accuse the church of maybe hiding information and et cetera, et cetera. And so that meeting fell apart. That was on the 19th. 4 days later, on the 23rd, I'm at home with my family, my lovely wife. She gets a phone call from a sister there in Iowa. That sister was also at that meeting 4 days earlier. And then that sister filled us in. Now, personally, I had followed the story, but as far as there being a meeting and what transpired at the meeting, I learned that day. And so when I learned that day, my wife and I, when we learned what had happened, we decided that we shouldn't allow things to end as they did, that we should do more. We should do something to bring about reconciliation, to bring about unity, and then also to see if we can raise some funding for the victims and the people affected by all of this. And so that's how myself and my wife, we got involved.
Okay, that's good to know. So then, my next question to you would be, why is the Liberian justice system still Jessica and her family? What are the options from an international or American standpoint, considering Lucas is allegedly, I don't know the facts of that, so I'll use the word allegedly in this context. What are the options in pursuing justice on this side of the country?
Well, we may be getting ahead, but I will answer the question nevertheless. So usually the first thing that happens is we pray that the available wheels of justice in Liberia turn, and they turn appropriately. Okay. Now, America obviously is a separate sovereign nation. America has laws that prohibit their citizens from doing certain things, even in foreign countries. For
Right.
example, the former president Charles Taylor, his son Chucky Taylor, who is an American citizen, pursuant to that law, for what he did outside of America, namely in Liberia. Pursuant to that law that exists here, the American government prosecuted him, and he's serving time in Miami as we speak.
Right.
Okay. So to answer specifically your questions about options, the U.S. government, assuming, and God forbid this doesn't happen, but to address your question directly, assuming the wheels of justice in Liberia fail to turn, that will be an option that the U.S. government could exercise. And in fact, they could exercise that option even if the wheels of justice do turn.
Okay. So you were saying, hold on one second. Let me use some kind of long term here, right? If the will of justice, as you quoted, does indeed happen, right? And Lucas is held accountable in Liberia, and he comes here and is held accountable also by the, wouldn't that be considered double jeopardy?
Double jeopardy. Okay. So when you're talking about double jeopardy, you're talking about double jeopardy in America.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a question of whether America is duplicating themselves. Whatever happens outside of America has no effect on America.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And here's another question for you. The fact that you've volunteered willingly to carry on, let's say, getting this money or raising money for Jessica and her family, would you be open to doing that for other Liberians who, God forbid, might fall prey to similar situations or be victims? Is that something that you're ready to take on?
Oh, yes, my brother. Yeah, I mean, you obviously don't know me or haven't heard about me. Or let me say that another way. You obviously don't know me or haven't heard of what God has used me to do, okay? Because I'm not going to take any of the credit. God has been using me. And so I've been in Georgia for 20 something years. I've been doing this sort of stuff with our people for that length of time. Over the course of those 20 something years, I've gone against police departments. I've gone against DA's offices, hospitals. Police has murdered Liberians here, and I've been blessed to fight them for years. More recently, during the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf government, probably, oh man, 8 years ago, there were 5 Liberian girls who were adopted in Oklahoma by a white family. I see Brother Kenneth shaking his head. Those 5 girls were adopted from Liberia. Unfortunately, this family of 4, they took turns torturing, beating these girls, and their son raping these girls. These girls were ages, the baby was 4 or 6 months old, and the oldest was 12 years old, 5 girls in that age range. And so, very long story short, they were going through that stuff. One of the neighbors there in Oklahoma, another Caucasian lady, was desperately looking for help for these children. She researched me and got my information somehow. She told me about it after much prayer, and I volunteered and I went to Oklahoma. I live in Georgia. I've never lived in Oklahoma. I went there and God gave us favor after maybe 8 months of that going back and forth, airplane, hotel, car rental, all the expenses you can imagine. If you have to leave Atlanta to go work, volunteer to work on a case in Oklahoma for 8 month period. Yeah, and after 8 months, we fought the case, and the case went up to the Supreme Court. The whole thing took about a year, almost 2 years. And so such work, the Lord has led me to do that, not just in Oklahoma. I've done it in Rhode Island. If there are Liberians in Rhode Island that watch your show, they will tell you I've done that there. I've done it in New Jersey, many places. This, in addition to providing for my family, which the Lord has done, He's blessed me and blessed us abundantly. And so when there's a cause, some of us, we step up, we do what we can. So this is not at all new for me, my brother.
Okay. So just before, because
Steve, before you just come here, I just want to agree with him with regards to the case that you just talked about. We discussed that on SKTV years back for almost 2 3 days because we couldn't finish the story for the first time. We went to another day and he lays out everything that happened during that time. And actually, he's been involved with a lot of different things when it comes to helping. And there was some controversial issues involving him in Ellen Conqueror and all those people. Then we also have discussed that on SKTV here. So he's not stranger to many Liberians when it comes to what he's been doing.
Yeah, the case in Oklahoma with the children that I've just explained, for example, our system did not properly vet foreigners who were coming in to adopt our children. The people who were responsible for the rape and torturing of these children, they had a record. Okay, they had a record of mistreating their own biological child. This child, he was an adult when I found him, had moved from Oklahoma all the way to Colorado to Denver. And so because of that, because of the work the Lord did through me and other people that worked with me, the government of Liberia, the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf government, received pressure from the U.S. government, and they shut down all adoptions for a while, and they were going to review how they were doing adoptions to make sure that what happened didn't happen again. Unfortunately, one would think that the government, my government, because I'm a Liberian, would say, hey, thank you, Judge Johnson, what you're doing, you're helping our children. But they turned against me and said that I was doing things in the US to put Liberia in a bad light. Yeah. And I was causing the government money because now the government coffers that benefited from adoption had to be shut down until they reviewed and improved the system. And so for that, I received threats. My family and I received a lot of backlash from that. But it comes with the territory. When you set out to do things like this, the Bible says, make sure you count the cost, and you're doing it for God. You're not doing it for yourself. You're not getting a penny out of it. As I described, you can imagine if you right now have to go back and forth to Oklahoma for a year and a half, airplane, car rental, hotel, food, etc., loss of hours of work, you can imagine it gets very, very costly. And then in the end, our people, the government, they threaten you, they badmouth you, they say you're making the government look bad, you're stopping revenue from coming, you're supposed to be trying to improve the country and and all sorts of stuff like that. It's a thankless job, put it that way.
Right. So just before I leave, I'll ask this question. I'll follow the show so that maybe you can answer it. But I want to start by saying thank you for your services. And yes, I do know you, but we're talking about things.
Oh, okay. You're welcome. Part of the reason I do this too, and our people need to see and hear that all of us are not cut from the same cloth. Our people need to see and hear that you mean to tell me, yes, it's true that when a cause comes up, there are Liberians that are actually willing to sacrifice. They know that they're not going to get anything out of it except backlash. They know they're going to be insulted. They know they're going to be slandered and lied on and all these things, but they don't do it for any other reason except to glorify God and to set an example. So that's part of the reason we do it. Let me give you an example. Even with this case, this is another issue. I learned, in as much as I'm passionate and I'm have the interest of Jessica, because I have 3 daughters. I have 3 daughters and 3 sons. And so I see Jessica like a daughter of mine. This issue should not be missed. Lucas was married. This ordeal that we have in our country where it's acceptable for young men, young women, people to have no regard for the sanctity of marriage and go with married men and other people's husband and side chick and things of that nature. This it's a side issue, yes, right? But it also needs to be addressed. Liberians need to hear the other Liberian men who are married that say this is wrong. The Bible calls it sin. The Bible says these things bring curses on the country, curses on the land. If we want a better country, if we want to improve Liberia, and all of it right now, all of us are enamored with the election. We want this, we want that. These things are bringing curses. These things are not going to further us. Again, I know when the show is watched, people will castigate me. Oh, you're not perfect, you know, whatever, whatever. But that comes with the territory. Young Liberian boys, girls, our children need to hear us say, this is wrong. Side chick thing is wrong. It's not something to be praised. It's not something to be hailed. Going after people's husbands and wife is wrong. Get your own husband. Get your own wife. You've gotten me stirred up, Steve.
Well, thank you so much. Let me ask you this question, because I think it's important for me to infuse this question, because there is a lot going on, not only around the world, not only in Liberia. I'm a Christian, but I've seen lots of us, and again, you don't have to answer this question if you're not comfortable with it, but I've seen lots of Christians saying that we should pray, and instead of making a decisive decision. What do you say as a legal person and also as a spiritual person, as a spiritual leader and one of the legal leaders in our community, to have seen both ends of the word, such as you've lived in Liberia, you currently live in the US. What do you say to us that replace this fact that we got to make a choice and a decision with spirituality? What do you say, so that we can move together we can move ahead as a nation? What do you say?
You know, it's very costly to claim something and not really adhere to it. The definition of a Christian is somebody that is a believer and follower of Jesus Christ and what's in the Bible. The Bible declares that faith without works is dead. So no, it's not a Christian thing to just believe and don't have works, to just talk as we do and not put your neck on the line. Christianity is about sacrifice. The name Christianity comes from Christ. That's what he did. He sacrificed. He didn't just talk. And so if we're holding on to the notion that it's just about talking, then we're misunderstanding.
George Melvin Johnson, thank you so much again for being on SKTV. Actually, I blame myself for not inviting you, so many times to discuss other issues until you call me to invite yourself. Because I promised the last time that we're going to be bringing you from time to time to discuss a lot of different issues, when it comes to our country and even beyond. And I must admit, the last time you came here, after that case with the Oklahoma and the adoption case involving that lady that went to Liberia adopting a lot of kids, a lot of people asked me that time, they wanted your information, and you say, yes, give it to them. And some of them came back to me and tell me thank you that you actually helped them. So I want to say thank you in this public manner. Because the reason why I brought this up, somebody just says, Sekou, can I have this man information? A lot of people, a lot of people, when they listen to you, they want to know you. They want to at least have access to you. Not everybody can do what you are doing, especially on a voluntary basis, But yes, indeed, I want to go back to the conversation here. So I put a picture up here. When you see under the young lady's neck, it's almost like somebody slaughtering cow.
Yes, yeah. It's painful to look at.
It's almost like the guy was almost like killing her.
Yeah.
Almost like she was almost done.
Yeah.
If you're not for the good people that allegedly came in to her rescue.
Mm.
So my my question to you, is it possible that this lady can be brought to the United States for a better
Oh,
medical attention?
oh, praise God for you, Brother Kenneth. This is one of the issues that I do indeed want to talk about.
Okay.
First of all, as I said, as a father with 3 daughters, I feel for this young lady. I've already said, as our people say, when you talk it so, you got to talk it so. At some point when she's well, and as a big brother or father figure, I will tell her, my dear, it is wrong to go with somebody's husband or go after somebody's husband. But putting that to the side, one of the things that I'm very passionate about, in fact, I've been also working, my family and I working behind the scenes, trying to contact people, hospitals, to see if there's a way we could bring her for treatment, because the incident occurred on the 14th of September. Today is the 19th of October. That will put us about a month and a week after the incident. If a month and a week later, this young lady is still experiencing these symptoms, we don't have the facilities, we don't have the medical wherewithal to treat these things properly. And so, yes, we're working on additionally to see if there can be a medical mission that can be organized to bring her to the US for proper treatment, or even Ghana. That's something that just yesterday I was discussing with somebody that believed they have connection there. Personally, Ghana or Liberia, just so that she'll get the right treatment. Also, let me mention this is an aspiring nurse. This is a 21-year-old child that wants to be a nurse, wants to contribute to the health infrastructure and treatment in our country. And so, for many reasons, yes, that's also something I'm working on. So, to your listening audience, if any of you have any connection, any of you know of any such programs or individuals who have brought people on medical missions, please, please, please contact me, and let's see what we can do for this, our daughter, our sister, and so forth. Please. Thank you. Very, very good question, Brother Kenneth.
Thank you. Thank you. So, for the sake of clarity, the lady in question, the young lady in question, she was like a boyfriend to this guy,
This
allegedly.
is my this is my understanding. This guy moved to Liberia with his wife. He lived there with his wife. Somehow he told the young girl, the victim, and her mother that he wanted this girl. He had his wife there he was living with. And as I said, the culture, the accepted things in Liberia, somehow they agreed, they somehow convinced themselves that this guy would marry this Liberian girl while he was still married to his wife. And that's my understanding of what was going on. But shooting straight, I think that we all know what was really going on. I don't think, we all know what was really going on. And what's wrong is wrong. As I said, adultery is not something we should be engaged in. I know for many people in Liberia it's acceptable. They call it side chick. They make fun of it, thinking it's funny, but God is not mocked. Whatsoever a people sow, that's what they will reap. And if we're honest, because our forefathers and some of us today are still sowing these things, this is part of the reason that nation is reaping what it is. Let's call a spade a spade.
So yeah, so thank you so much for that answer. And so I am not trying to be a racist or whatsoever. Is Luca a black or a white?
He's white. His
He's
wife
white.
is white. Yeah, he's white. His wife is white. They have been missionaries since, I believe, 2017, 2018. They've been in Liberia.
So when the incident occurs, his wife was back here in the United States, correct?
Oh no, she was there.
Oh, she was
Yeah.
there, and then he was with another with the girl.
Yeah, the wife is working there. They've got the church, they've got the school, they've got the clinic. She got her duties. He's got his duties. And so the story goes that this girl basically, as we say, was his side woman, his side chick that his wife did not know about. And this girl also knew his wife or knew of his wife, but they didn't disclose it to his wife. And so whatever he was telling her, that's what he was telling her, and she was accepting it. But when he went to the police station, or he was taken to the police station, because he knew his wife would be expecting him and it would be too long, he called his wife reportedly from the police station to say, I have been robbed and I'm at the police station. They're trying to take money from me. You know how Liberia is, blah, blah, blah. Then the wife, using that information, she called the US, and then people in the US called the church. So the wife was deceived as well. The wife was lied to as well. The wife later found out the truth.
Well, George Melvin Johnson, thank you so much. So, going back to the fundraiser that is planned for this weekend, and that is the main purpose of coming here. Can you elaborate more on that
Sure.
fundraiser and how those who are far away, how they can contribute to the process?
Sure. So there is a church. The church in question is called Creekside Church. Creekside is one word. So Creekside Church, this Sunday, October 22nd, there will be a joint service between the Creekside Church and the local Liberian community. Okay. Both of these people will come together. They will do a unity and a reconciliation service to mend the fences. Also, they will be raising fund to help all that had been, to help the victim in this case. And so that will be going on this Sunday. The church has set up on their website, this church has set up a link, a tab where anybody can go there and make the payment. The website for the church is on the flyer, but let me go ahead and say it out here. It is Creekside, Creekside, Creekside DM, creeksidedm.com. DM for Des Moines. That's the city in Iowa where they are located. So creeksidedm.com/give, GIVE. And there you'll be able to use, debit card, credit card, whatever form of payment you have, you'll be able to give. So that has been specifically set up just for this purpose. After Sunday, that will be taken down from their website. Okay, and so that's the only means right now to contribute. We wanted something central. We wanted something where there would be accountability. We didn't want 5, 6 different means. That is the only means to give. So people go to creeksidedm.com/give. Creekside DM for Des Moines, DM.com/give to give to this effort.
I'm sorry. So those who are now, somehow inclined when it comes to going to website, doing all of those little things, but you can easily donate through Cash App or through Zelle. Do they have any method available, of that nature, like where people can chip in their little thing here and there without going to a website? Sometimes people are so busy, they're in a hurry, in rush to go to the website looking for all those different ways to do it. The easiest way they can go, just go to their phone, send Cash App or send Zelle. Do they have any other payment method other than going to the website?
Unfortunately, that's it. But the same way we go to our phone, you just go to Google and type in creeksidedm.com/give, and it takes you right there. So not like you need a computer, right? You just type in Creekside DM/give, and you're right there, and you can make the payment.
Okay. So, folks,
Yeah.
if you want to contribute to this fundraiser for the young lady who almost got killed by her alleged boyfriend, you can support them going through their website, Creekside. Um, yeah,
DM.
Creekside.com, right?
Yeah, it's
Creekside
on the
DM, CreeksideDM.com. So
yes.
you can go there and be a part of it. Let me see. Let me see here. Somebody, okay, it's just right there. CreeksideDM.com. So
/give.
yeah, /gave. Okay. So you can go there and do your contribution. So
Please.
George Johnson, let me ask you about this. Is the church doing anything from their own cover? Like financially, is the church doing anything to help this young lady? Since in fact, something happened, they were put into error, by not knowing the actual story, and they went, somehow they were considered somehow as supporting the guy who allegedly committed a crime. So are they doing anything financially to help this young lady,
Well,
Jessica?
yeah, I mean, they're a very good question. They're doing a lot. Number one, we're using their facility on Sunday. They normally have church in the morning, and so they're having their normal church in the morning, and then they're opening up their facility in the afternoon for all of us to get together there and do this. Additionally, they're providing the drinks, the refreshments, and their congregation. They're going to be in full attendance to also make their donations as well. And this is something the pastor last Sunday has shared with the entire congregation. Come back this Sunday. This is something that will be shared with them Sunday morning when they have their regular service, that they should all come back in the afternoon and support this cause. And so, yes, they've already done a lot, and we expect that to continue from the contributions that will come forth from the congregation on Sunday afternoon when we all get together.
Okay. Thank you so much, George Melvin Johnson. I want to know whether you have something else to say that I did not ask. I know you have explained clearly to everybody. Maybe I'm the only person who was not aware of this case. For some reason, we've been focused on the politics in Liberia. Maybe that's why it skipped me. So, is there anything that we did not touch that you want to elaborate on before we?
Well, a couple of things, and we touch on it, but I just want to put emphasis.
Go ahead.
Number one, please, if you are a Liberian, if you are a friend of Liberia, you're in Iowa, please come to the program. Even if you don't have much to donate, your presence will mean much. The program we're expecting to be aired on several networks live, even in Liberia, for people to see. And our people, number one, need to see this unity, this solidarity, this reconciliation going on. Secondly, your presence will bring awareness to what's going on. Your presence, as I was talking with Brother Steve earlier, will help to put the needed pressure on our local wheel justice. We've all learned in Liberia, when there's cases that people are interested in, the wheels of justice tend to pay more attention to what they're doing versus if people are not interested in this. So we ask everybody to come out and help with the awareness. Additionally, even if you're not in the area, you're not able to come out, of course, we want you to go to creeksidedm.com/give and make a contribution. No contribution is too small. $5, $10, whatever you can contribute, you're contributing to a family, you're contributing to a young lady, etc., who has been victimized with blood on her brain. She's not eating solid food. They've got to get juices and soft foods for her. She's not able to move around and speak and do all the things that she did normally. And so you would be helping that effort. Lastly, please continue to talk about this case with your family, your friends, your colleagues, because we don't want this to be another one of those situations that die down and get swept under the rug. The more we continue the awareness, the more we continue being intentional to talk about this case, the more likely we're going to see justice. And justice is what we want. Of course, we have not passed judgment one way or another. We're not going to pass judgment one way or another. We're going to let the system do what it does. But please continue the interest, continue the awareness so that hopefully justice will be served. And I said lastly, but let me also say this. This church, as I said earlier, has a congregation total of about 130 people. This church has been in existence since 1914. They're doing this in Liberia. They're doing it in Haiti, Uganda, Asia, and over 50 countries they've done this to. Over the years, they've provided over $2 million. Yes, they've provided over 2 million. This is 120, 130 people church. So this is not a mega or big church. They've provided over $2 million over the years. If all you come in contact with them, express gratitude to them. Many of our people have benefited. Right now, there are 200 plus of our children that are going to school and getting an education. Right now, there are many of our pregnant sisters, of our young people and old people who are sick that are getting treatment and free medication. And then, of course, the church is spreading the gospel, saving souls, and so forth. So let's express gratitude to these people for what they've done. As a people, let that challenge us. We have organizations of Liberians here in the US that are much more than 120 members, much more than 130 members, and we certainly cannot show $2 million that we've contributed back to our country, especially in light of the election. We all got views, we've got parties, we're talking, this person should do this one should do this. What are we doing? What have we done? So let us reflect on what this church has done, and hopefully let it embarrass us in a good way so that we can be determined to do something tangible for our people, those of us who are blessed to be in the diaspora.
Thank you so much, George Melvin Johnson. And like I said, so you have your permission to share your information with those who are requesting it, correct?
Certainly, and always.
Okay. So on that note, I want to say thank you for showing up on SKTV again. We'll do it again. I think we'll be reaching out to you to talk about something else later on, not today. But yeah, I'll be reaching out to you, have a conversation, and we'll come in here to discuss some legal issues, whether it's in Liberia or it's in America, just to give just to use your expertise, your knowledge to somehow enlighten our people on a lot of issues. And
Sure.
you've been very, flexible with SKTV, so we'll definitely reach out to you so we can be, having some shows, some conversation on some legal issues, whether it's United States or Liberia. But I want to say thank you so much. Unless you have something else to say, you can have your, you have your parting comment, and we'll continue with the show to talk a little bit politics, because I don't want you to keep you here for politics because that's not what you came for.
Yeah. So, Brother Kenneth, let me express my sincere thanks and appreciation to you, your family that supports you, your staff, Brother Steve, and the other people who helped to do this. This is a community service. This is much needed. You're helping to inform our people. You're helping to educate our people. And so let me thank you. And let me also thank you all the times I've been on here, even though I've come for controversial issues. You've been very kind and considerate with me. And for that, I'm humble And let me say thank you. And I pray that the Lord blesses you and your family. So thank you so very much. Thank you for what you do. Let us continue to bleed Liberia. Let us continue to have our hearts and our minds on our people who need us very much. And again, thank you so very much. God bless you. Have a wonderful rest of the week.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. You hear from me, okay? Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So, first, I want to say thank you to all of you for following SKTV. I know our people gravitate more towards politics than other issues. Somebody came here and said, "Oh, I know we don't have nothing to talk about today," as if this is not important. Speaking of life and death, somebody saying Sekou have nothing to talk about today because their only important thing is politics. Unfortunately, we have people among us that behave very, 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 very funny. But again, we have another thing to talk about. You know, one of our main supporters, one of the main fans of SKTV that passed away a few days ago. She's called Shatta Thompson. They have a flyer here sent to me that they say celebrating the life of Shatta Thompson on, I think it's going to be on October 22nd at 7 p.m. So those of you who will make it there, you are invited. We want to say in this public manner that we love her. She used to be, the last time we even joked with her on here, when Mabel said, I'm not pronouncing your name rightly, she was actually saying, I like the way Sekou can pronounce my name. She said, I like the way Sekou can pronounce my name. Hold on. Okay. I think somebody is calling to give us more information. Hello?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I just talk about it for a little bit. Thank you so much.
You are live. Go ahead. People are listening.
Thank you.
All you need to do just call your name. Just call your name.
I thank Sekou so much for giving her his platform to talk about Seattle tribute. It's gonna be on across Africa, Lofa's Julia platform on Sunday. Sunday, October 22nd, this coming Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time.
Okay.
And 7 Central. So if you live in the East Coast area, it's gonna be 8 p.m. It's gonna start at 8 p.m. And if you live in like the Midwest and us in Texas and other people at 7 p.m. So please come.
And then that would be 5 p.m. here our time.
Yes. So yeah,
in the West Coast.
Yeah, you in Arizona. Yeah, your time. I don't know the time different, but yeah. So please don't miss it. If you were friends with Seattle off of Facebook or you knew her personally, we don't know the date of funeral, the actual funeral yet. But this is our tribute to her. Like social media people that knew her, social media people, some of us knew her personally, but we met her in person. So if you met her in person, if you just knew her over Facebook, you were friends on Facebook and you're interactive, this is your way to come and pay your own tribute to her on Sunday all across Africa, Lofa Julia show. So please come on. Everybody will have a time. There will be a link. You can come on and give your tribute whatever way she touched you or you're interactive. If you, like I said, you knew her personally or off social media, come on and pay a tribute to her on Sunday night. Please come, everybody. This is the family agreed to this. We're not just doing it because the family is in the know of this and they agreed to it. So we're doing this for all of Seattle friends and anybody that knew her over social media. So please, thank you so much, Sekou. Maybe we can go ahead. We'll keep announcing this. You know, this is the flyer. If you need her, you can copy this flyer, or if you need it to post it on your page or any way, you can reach out to me in my inbox, and I will share it with you. Or you can reach out to Eugenia Green. She will be able to share with you as well. So let's come and make our sister and pay tribute to her until those of us who will be able to make it to the funeral. Once we get those dates from the family, we'll share it as well. So thank you so much, Sekou.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. So let me hold on one second. So folks, I think we're going to talk about politics later on this evening. So let me not just combine the two shows. I want to say, want to pray for our friend, our sister, Seata. It's kind of tough to even talk about her death, to be honest with you. It's tough. But again, I want to say thank you to all of you for following SKTV. So let's not confuse the two. So people who have followed the show, they will actually understand the purpose of the show today. But we'll come on this evening or tonight, 6 p.m. my time here. That will be 9 p.m. Eastern time. And that will be 8 p.m. Midwest time. We'll be here. We'll discuss politics. We have a lot of information to share with you. As a matter of fact, we'll be going through the numbers. How the number came, how LS Communist was cheated broad day. As a matter of fact, we have some information that was shared with us from some insider as to how Communist was cheated. It will amuse you to see some of those things. Sometimes, like yesterday, I was thinking about, what will happen if we decide to go to support one group or against the other. But after seeing this information, I was so touched. I was so flabbergasted. I was so mad. I was like, what's going on, man? What kind of country is this? I think we will hold our peace for now. Whether or not we will support anybody against the other. Because this thing is too much. We'll read some to you today. 6 p.m. my time here. 8 p.m. That will be 8 p.m. Midwest time. And then 9 p.m. Eastern time will come on. It's very sad that our country, have been reduced, to this level. I'm telling you, man. But we'll be here tonight. If you have time, join us. I know many of you will join because when it comes to politics, people can come. A lot of people were following SKTV because of election thing, blah, 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 blah. Now the election was over. Some people, they are so frustrated, they don't even come anymore. What I can tell you, the politics is just getting started. We have a lot to uncover. In fact, we will expose all the bad things that happened in the election so that the future people who are planning to do it again, they will behave. Because we'll expose everybody. We'll see you later on. Thank you so much for following, and we really, really love you. We appreciate your time here.
Firimina yo yana nyale kuya dadi anyane ne
sirabako afuke talole na madamu kwane barikanye kausu kwane sherile wone wato afuko Mohamed dianyabale wone wato sirabako afuko na dianyabale ni tiraduma nyekuma na kwete dianyandene majere fitiri bade dewa sherile ya feka koyo de longi ye wabo barisrala na pleri ba mama na wa ngone wato bamara puro na pleri le ko amija ite yile ko de e jene bara jamila kalu bebe chabi manawa mana musangare barikanye ni ya barikaji yana President wa e koroke watara mana wa ngone wato watara la nesabla la kulubai la malado kulubai lolena Madame Berite barikanye ni barika bonye nasa e marisu kone mana wa Madame Jabi barika moya barika kanuna nyate sunoji yako
andule samai suche mambanamba na kawri sogoma
Tellement inspiration est trop vers la place c'est le featuring mandingue. Teddy clavier. On l'appelle Noumouni Diarra c'est le lion c'est pas un chat. Noumouni Diarra, pizza c'est mani. Atoi, c'est ça. Atoi, c'est la table. Qui a dit que le mandingue peut pas faire rousquesquesse? Fabrice Clavier.